Have you ever noticed how some elderly men enter a space and instantly change the atmosphere without saying a word? They do not seek attention, do not
Look at
try
them over
too
there,
hard,
how
yet young women
distinguished.
are drawn to them
Indeed,
involuntarily.
one can
The reason for this is neither money, nor status, nor just appearance. It lies in their demeanor, their way of flirting while not appearing flirtatious. There is a quiet sharpness to it, like a man who understands that time is on his side, not against him.
look at
Look,
this
young
guy.
men are trying to impress. They display strength,
Yeah, show
joke
him.
too much, and try to
Thinks he's
compensate
so
for their
strong.
shortcomings. But the elderly man, possessing inner confidence, does not participate in this game. His mere presence is enough to intrigue the woman. He doesn't need to win her heart. He makes her lean in, eager to discover who he is. It is a mystery, a subtle attraction more intoxicating than any banal pickup line. This is not about cheap tricks or rehearsed gestures. It concerns psychological mechanisms based on women's natural reactions to male energy. They are reinforced by evolutionary psychology, honed by experience, and polished by common sense. I am about to reveal the most powerful flirting techniques used by older men, those that not only ignite attraction but also create genuine desire. If you understand them, you will forever change your perception of flirting. Here is the harsh truth that many young men do not want to admit. When it comes to flirting, they often shoot themselves in the foot. They confuse loud energy with confidence, constant jokes with charm, and endless compliments with attraction. But for the young woman, such behavior seems needy. It feels like an audition for her approval. And the moment she realizes this, she begins to withdraw. Because desire arises not in a man trying to prove his worth, but in one who does not need to do so. Here lies the advantage of older men. They do not compete for attention, nor do they strive to be the loudest voice in the room. Instead, they let silence do the heavy lifting. They understand that a pause before speaking can be more meaningful than a hasty compliment. They know that confident eye contact says much more than rehearsed phrases. It's not that they don't flirt. They do it so subtly and consciously that it feels dangerous. Women crave this sharpness. Remember the young man? He is like a firework, bright, loud, but gone in an instant. The older man, however, is like a fireplace, warm, steady, and attractive. What one wants to spend hours beside. This is what most men face today. They try to be fireworks, while women secretly long for a flame that lasts. And this is the cruelest part. If you do not recognize this shift, you will always seem like a person who tries too hard. You will be remembered as background noise, not as someone she cannot forget. So, we face an important question. What subtle techniques do experienced men use to attract women instead of repelling them? This is what we are going to consider. The first flirting technique is the power of presence. The first and most underrated technique used by experienced men is not in words, but in how they appear. Presence. You will be surprised at how rare this phenomenon has become in our time. Most men cannot even sit across from a woman without constant movements, checking their phone, or filling every pause with nervous chatter. However, an elderly man has spent enough time to realize that true presence is the highest form of attention. When he speaks, he is not in a hurry. When she speaks, he listens without that greedy gaze. This confident energy tells her, I am here not because I need you, but because I choose to be. Psychology confirms this. Research shows that women respond not to the quantity of attention, but to its quality. A man who patiently listens and maintains eye contact creates an atmosphere of safety and intrigue simultaneously. Paradoxically, the calmer you are, the more attraction she feels. Young guys often confuse excitement with attraction, but true attraction arises from controlled restraint. That's why it's so powerful. Presence cannot be faked. You can throw money around, you can utter clever phrases, but if your energy is scattered, it feels that instantly. On the contrary, if you are confident and act as if you have nothing to prove, it will feel that in the body, even without realizing it in the mind. Therefore, an elderly man can sit silently, saying almost nothing, and still remain the most captivating presence in the room. Presence does not mean silence, it is about being confidently anchored. In a world where every guy shouts for attention, a man who needs no shouting becomes unforgettable. Thus, the first flirting technique concerns not what you say, but how you use silence. The second flirting technique is subtle teasing through contrast. It is here that young men often make mistakes. Attraction exists due to contrast. A young guy often tries too hard to impress, giving endless compliments, overly explaining his merits, or trying to prove his interest. However, the experienced man knows the real game. He teases with restraint, provides enough warmth to ignite curiosity, and then retreats into self-control. This is not manipulation. It is a rhythm, like a melody that holds your attention not because it constantly explodes with sounds, but due to pauses, beats, and the spaces between them. Psychologists call this the intermittent reinforcement effect. When attention appears unexpectedly, it becomes a source of addiction. Casinos are built on this principle, and a similar situation occurs in relationships. A woman does not seek a man who constantly and tirelessly gives her approval. She is interested in someone who makes her work for his attention, then rewards her with a light smile, a witty comment, or a piercing gaze. Imagine this. She makes a playful remark, expecting you to react like any other guy. However, instead of that, you linger, allowing a slow smile to spread across your face and say something that both acknowledges her and presents a challenge. This moment is memorable because it is unpredictable, detached from despair, yet thoughtful, and therein lies the essence. Teasing only works if you are comfortable with the thought that you are not liked by her. This is something young men often face. They fear rejection and therefore compensate with constant approval. An older man, he knows that a woman's allure does not fade when he resists her demands. On the contrary, it ignites when he shows resilience. He is ready to let silence hang in the air, risking her misunderstanding. And this risk makes the teasing unifying. The third trick of flirting is the power of slow presence. One of the most attractive traits of an older man is his ability to handle time differently. The young guy is in a hurry, speaks quickly, fidgets, checks his phone, trying to fill every pause with noise. An elderly man realizes that when you slow down, you take control of the situation. You set the rhythm of communication, and she involuntarily adjusts to your pace. This is confirmed by psychology. Studies in communication show that slow speech and measured pauses signal power and confidence. Consider the difference between a nervous intern quickly blurting out words in a meeting and an experienced CEO who allows silence to breathe before delivering a weighty statement. One is ignored, the other respected. Allure operates under the same laws. Imagine, she speaks quickly, her words full of excitement and energy. Instead of matching her pace like any young man would, you lean back, look her in the eyes, and respond with calm, thoughtful phrases. Suddenly she slows down, begins to mirror your behavior. Unknowingly, she adjusts to your rhythm instead of the other way around. This is not just flirting. It is a display of leadership. And here is the moment that many men do not understand. Women associate speed with insecurity. When you hurry, it shows you are trying to catch up with something. When you slow down, you demonstrate that you have nothing to prove. You have nowhere to rush. You become a mountain, not a leaf carried by the wind. The mountain does not move for anyone. It allows others to ascend towards it. Therefore, the presence of the elderly man seems irresistible. This touches not only his words, but also how he manages the time around them. The art of flirting is the fourth trick, involving the subtle art of teasing and maintaining validation. Young men often tend to give excessive attention, generously offering compliments, laughing at every joke, and literally flooding her with validation like from a broken tap. At first, it brings a smile, but over time it becomes predictable and even cheap. However, the elderly man realizes that true attraction is not created through pursuit, but through the creation of tension. The tension arises from him leaving enough validation for her to remain in doubt. Imagine this. She throws a playful joke expecting you to respond like any other guy trying to win her approval, with quick assurances that she is funny, beautiful, and smart. Instead, you simply smile, letting the silence hang in the air, perhaps tilting your head as if considering whether to respond to her joke. And when you finally speak, your words are brief, restrained, and even a bit provocative. This is where your best move lies. She feels interest, not because you complimented her, but because you didn't give your attention entirely. Psychology works on scarcity. We value what we cannot predict, what we cannot fully obtain. When you constantly give validation, she knows exactly where she stands, and the mystery disappears. But when you hold back, forcing her to earn your rare approvals, you change the dynamic. She begins to work harder, lean in, and strive for the small nods of recognition that you give her from time to time. And here is a deeper truth. This is not a game, but a manifestation of self-respect. A man who respects himself does not scatter his energy everywhere. He does not give equal attention to everyone because he understands that his attention has value. This is what women feel when an older man holds back. It is not arrogance, but disciplined selectiveness. It is like the difference between fast food and rare, exquisite wine. One is available everywhere. The other can only be tasted on rare occasions. The fifth trick of flirting is the power of controlled silence. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill it with nervous chatter, jokes, or explanations, thinking that if they don't keep the conversation going, she will lose interest. But it is this quality that attracts young women to older men, the ability to sit in silence and not flinch. Silence is not a weakness if you possess it. When used correctly, it becomes a form of dominance. Imagine you are sitting opposite her. She asks a teasing or provocative question. Instead of rushing to answer, you pause. You hold her gaze, allowing the pause to linger longer than she expects. This delay may frustrate her, but at the same time, it attracts her. In this moment, she understands that you are not performing for her. You are not trying to win her over with constant activity. You are comfortable allowing her to feel the weight of your presence. Psychologists call this non-reactivity. This is one of the strongest signals of confidence and status. When you are not disturbed by silence, you demonstrate that you are not desperate to please. You are not afraid of what she will think, and you are not chasing her approval. That is why young women find this attractive. Most men they encounter are hyperactive, constantly talking and trying to sell themselves. A man capable of maintaining silence without breaking it seems like a pillar amidst storms. The secret is this: controlled silence is not emptiness, but a form of communication. It says, I am not in a hurry. I don't need to prove anything. She will start to approach on her own if she wants more. This creates a magnetic attraction, a kind of gravitational field where she begins to fill the gaps, opening up and sharing more, yearning for a connection that you do not impose. It is then that silence becomes your ally, not your enemy. The trick of flirting lies in magnetism and an element of surprise. Here is the truth that many men do not understand. Routine kills attraction. When a woman knows exactly what you will say, how you will react, and what actions you will take, she may feel safe but does not experience excitement. Young women are especially sensitive to this. They live in a world of endless imitation, constant notifications, and men competing in predictability. Unlike them, older men, who know how to flirt with depth, bring the necessary touch of unpredictability. This does not mean being chaotic or immature. This implies breaking patterns in subtle, confident ways. Imagine she is expecting a compliment from you, and you pause, look at her with a slight smile and say, "That's dangerous." You don't explain. You don't overdo it, allowing ambiguity to do its work. Or maybe she is trying to tease you, expecting you to defend yourself, but you just smile, lean back and say, "You'll have to try harder." Suddenly she finds herself confused, but in a way that excites her. The psychology here is simple. Unpredictability keeps her brain active. When she cannot predict your next move, she becomes more attentive, engaged, and drawn in. Evolutionary psychologists have found that unpredictability activates the same neural pathways as the anticipation of something new. This is why young women are so drawn to it. It feels alive, electric, different from the usual. But the key here is that unpredictability only works in conjunction with calm confidence. If you try to be unpredictable out of insecurity, it looks like chaos. When you express this with grounded energy, it appears as intrigue. And this creates the difference between the perception of immaturity and magnetism. When you master these skills, you will stop being just another line in her script and become an unexpected twist she did not anticipate. The seventh flirting trick is a profound depth that makes you unforgettable. Attraction may begin with appearance, jokes, or energy, but it is depth that holds the young woman. She is surrounded by men who can quickly text, joke, and entertain, but very few can make her feel noticed on a deeper level. It is here that an elderly man stands out. He is not just flirting on the surface. He radiates calmness and confidence that makes her ponder. Who is this man really? Imagine her laughing, teasing, engaging in ordinary games. And so, amidst this merriment, you look at her not with greed or desire, but with a quiet, steady presence. You ask her a question that penetrates beneath the surface. What do you really want from all this? Or, when was the last time you felt truly free? You do not pressure her. Do not explain. Simply allow the silence to be filled with the weight of your question. This moment will haunt her as she suddenly realizes she is not just communicating with another man trying to impress her, she faces someone who can challenge her soul. The psychology here is harsh and undeniable. Women seek emotional intensity rather than simple amusement. When you combine carefree flirting with moments of deep, enduring seriousness, you become the man who makes her feel alive on all levels. Young women are drawn to older men, not only for status or stability, but because of the mystery, the feeling that he embodies both storm and calm. Thus, Seneca said that a gem cannot be polished without friction, just as a person cannot be perfected without trials. Your trials, your scars, your silence are not weaknesses. They are your weapons. They allow you to flirt in a way that a 20-year-old could not because you try harder, but because you have lived more. And ultimately, it is this depth that she will never be able to forget. The truth is that young women are not attracted to older men because of money, cars, or status. These things are superficial, and superficial attraction quickly fades. What makes older men appealing is that they have gone through hardships and emerged more calm, wise, and resilient. The 7 tricks I mentioned are not just tactics. They are a natural manifestation of a man who knows himself, who no longer plays childish games, and does not seek approval. Here's the secret. Women want not just excitement, they seek a man who makes them feel grounded, desired, and at the same time, challenged. But what many men miss is that these tricks will only work if they are backed by sincerity. You can't pretend to be calm when you're actually anxious. You can't act like a playful tease when deep down you're full of anger. You also can't pretend to be profound if you've never faced your inner demons. True work is not about memorizing phrases or copying someone's behavior, but about creating yourself as a man who naturally radiates these qualities. Then flirting will happen on its own. If you listen to this and something clicks within you, don't just nod and move on. Reflect on where you still act like a boy when you should be showing yourself as a man. Change this. The moment you change, women will sense it. Young and old, it doesn't matter. Attraction works on the principle of gravity, and the most attractive men are those who move confidently through life. If you want to learn more about how to rid yourself of neediness and become the man that women can't forget, take action. This is the place where we cut away the excess, remove false ideas, and discuss what truly makes a man attractive. In the end, you win, not in the race, but in becoming. When you become a man who radiates calm confidence, powerful strength, and depth, she will not just notice you, she will not be able to forget you.